Hey guys. So, for today's grammar, we're going to talk about three common pitfalls in legal writing. We're talking about redundant phrases, ambiguous word choices, and overly complex language. I know you're probably thinking that I do this all the time with overly complex language, and I know I'm stuck in my ways. Anyhow, so, whether you are drafting, a client letter, a memo, a contract, a motion for the court, clear and precise writing is going to be crucial. And that's because when it comes to legal communications, every word should serve a purpose. So, when the writing is redundant or it's unclear or it's unnecessarily complex, it could actually confuse the reader and can lead to legal consequences that you don't actually want. So let's talk about what that looks like. So, what exactly is redundancy? Essentially, it means that less is more. So, your redundant phrases are going to use more words than are necessary to convey the same idea. So, they're going to add bulk without adding any kind of value. And legal writing should be efficient and direct, and every word should contribute to the meaning. And I know you've heard me say, start working on being able to say more with less words. This is what I'm talking about. So, what exactly is a redundant phrase? Here we have advanced planning. Just planning is your concise alternative. End result. Just result. Those other words aren't adding any value to what it is that you're saying. Past history. Just history. Close proximity. Just proximity. At this point in time. This one's going to be different. Just now. Due to the fact that, because I'm writing to inform you. I am informing you. And then legal requirement. And that's just requirement because the legal part is actually implied. So let's look at an example. At this point in time, we are in close proximity to reaching a final decision regarding your case. Now, that has the redundant phrases in it. Let's look at it when we're saying more with less words. We are close to reaching a final decision. It's really that simple. Eliminating those redundant words is not going to change the meaning, but it's going to make the sentence more readable. So now you have to look at how do you spot these redundant sentences or redundant words rather. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to identify those repetitive ideas. You've got to ask yourself, are two words expressing the same concept? Then you've got to cut unnecessary words. So if a sentence works without certain words, take it out. You also have to use strong words, like one strong word instead of two weak ones. So instead of saying completely finish, just say finish. So now let's talk about ambiguous word choices. So what exactly is ambiguity? And that is more of a say what you mean type thing. So ambiguous words are going to leave room for misinterpretation, and that can be dangerous in legal writing. So clients, courts, opposing counsel, all of them have to be able to understand your message. Now let's look at some examples. Somewhat likely is your ambiguous word or phrase. Your clear alternative is possible or likely. Now, this one is going to be based on really what your intended meaning is. Then we have a few days. I put 3 days. 3 days may not be the exact time frame in which you're looking for, but it's giving you something that is more specific. In the near future. How about within 2 weeks? Again, may not be the same. The time frame ones are just going to need a clearer word choice. As soon as possible, by whatever date you decide. A reasonable time frame, within 30 days, or again, whatever you specify. May or may not, just may. We don't want that other side in there. Could potentially, just could. And then the client may probably, the client may. Now let's look at an example here. So we have the evidence might probably suggest some level of wrongdoing. Okay, so in this case, let's look at a better example. The evidence may suggest wrongdoing. So the phrase might probably is contradictory. Does the evidence actually suggest wrongdoing? I don't know. Does it not? I don't know. Again, the precision is going to be key when it comes to legal writing. So, how do you fix these? Or actually, how do you spot and fix these? The first thing you're going to do is ask, like, would a layperson actually understand this? So, if someone who is outside of the legal field might misinterpret the sentence, rewrite it. Okay. You're going to want to replace vague terms with specifics. So, instead of saying soon, give an actual deadline. And then also you want to be direct. So instead of this issue may need further attention, specify what action is required. Now let's talk quickly about overly complex language and what this is. And basically it's where you're going to simplify without losing any kind of precision. And that's because complexity in legal writing is often the result of long-winded sentences, excessive jargon, and unnecessary formality. So while the legal writing should be professional, it doesn't actually have to be convoluted. So let's look at an example. It is imperative that you provide documentation at your earliest convenience versus please provide documentation as soon as possible. Again, they say the same thing without all of the other words that are in there that basically do nothing but could add confusion. Let's take a look at another one. The undersigned, acting in their official capacity as legal counsel, hereby submits the following request. Versus, I, as legal counsel, submit this request. Same thing, much less words, much more precise. How about, it may be prudent and advisable to consider reviewing the aforementioned documentation prior to making any final determinations. That's a mouthful. Versus, we recommend reviewing this documentation before making a final decision. Again, much smaller, still the same meaning, and much more clear and precise. Now let's do one more of these. It is the position of this office that in order to ensure compliance with all applicable laws and regulations, the matter at hand should be thoroughly examined prior to reaching any determinations. Versus, to comply with the law, we should thoroughly examine this matter before making a decision. That took out like 1.5 sentences. So that's, again, just an example. So how do you spot and fix complex language? The first thing you're going to have to do is learn to break long sentences into shorter ones. So if you have multiple clauses, consider simplifying it. The legal field is one of the, actually, it probably is the only area where you will see really massive, like long run-on sentences. And that's one of the things that, I'm kind of pointing to right here. You also want to use everyday language instead of legal jargon. So like legal terms should be used when necessary, but plain language is best when you are addressing clients. Going to the court, it's fair game. And also read it out loud. So if a sentence, sounds unnatural, then just rewrite it. Okay, so let's combine everything. This example is going to be an example that has the overly complex language, the redundant phrases, and the ambiguous word choices. So it says, I am writing this letter to inform you that it may be in your best interest and prudent to, at this point in time, consider discussing the matter further in order to ensure compliance with all relevant legal requirements. Okay, so next we recommend discussing this matter further to ensure compliance with the law. Again, that takes out a huge chunk. It is not only shorter, it is clearer, and it is more direct while maintaining that legal or that professionalism. When you have like, I don't know, just too many words, sometimes you'll lose the readers. And if you go to law school, you'll definitely find this whenever you're reading cases and you're reading like the judge's opinions, particularly Scalia, because he is known for like the longest opinions and dissents. It's absolutely insane. But anyhow, so just remember, legal writing should always be clear, concise, and professional. So before, submitting anything, just take a minute to review. When it comes to redundancy, cut the unnecessary words, the ambiguity, just choose precise language. And then when complexity, just simplify where you can, okay? Strong legal writing is definitely a skill and it takes practice, but mastering it will make you, honestly, a more effective communicator. And as you work on your client letter revision assignment this week, kind of keep these principles in mind. So remember that in practice, clarity is going to build trust with clients. It's going to strengthen legal arguments, and it's going to ensure that when your reader goes across your material for the first time, it will actually be understood. So if you have any questions, just reach out and ask me. Bye.